Hey, good morning, everybody. I want to thank you all for being here. This morning, as I have presented to the Birmingham City Council this morning, the proposed 2024 operating budget, which is $554 million. This $554 million proposed budget of 2024 leverages some recently approved funding of the $60 million in the budget surplus, as well as $140 million of the ARPA funding. Combined, we believe these three phases of funding help our continued investments in neighborhood revitalization, which includes supporting and investing in our people and our employees, as well as our youth, as well as something that's extremely important to every single person, that is public safety and public infrastructure. With that said, I want to just provide a few notes on highlights of what's in this budget. They include, under the banner of neighborhood revitalization, street paving for $15 million. Please note that is an increase of $5 million from last year's operating budget of $10 million. Combined over 5 years, every year of our general fund, we've done $63 million over 5 years of street paving. And so this year will be $15 million. For our sidewalks, we're doing $200,000, that is combined with the surplus carryover of $875,000 related to sidewalk repair. In addition to that, demolition has seen a decrease in funding of $1 million. We've increased our weed abatement funding to $2 million, which the focus and order will be on city right-of-way and city parks and city property, followed by private lots that the city is not responsible for cutting, because literally we are not in a position to maintain private lots to be cut with public tax dollars. Focusing on our youth initiatives, we continue what we've been doing for the last few years and enhancing those things. Coming in supporting our Birmingham Promise of $2 million. The Birmingham Board of Education supporting mental health providers, one in each of our schools, of $1 million. Conflict resolution at our schools at $1 million. Financial literacy in support of our Birmingham City School children of $1 million. As well as our Safe Haven program for park and recreation at $500,000. When you add the Restore Juvenile Justice program of $225,000, as well as Division of Youth Services, Kids and Jobs of $210,000, we continue to make the necessary investments in our youth. But we believe for strong neighborhoods, you have to have efficient, dependable public transportation. So we're increasing our public transportation dollars this year to $16.5 million. That includes $11 million for fixed routes, $3 million for our bus rapid transit system, BRT, and $2.5 million for our on-demand VIA. Related to our personnel, please recall that since May of 22, so over the last literally 12 months, or within these 12 months, but right at 10 months, we've done not one but two 5% cost of living increases for all of our city employees. That's in addition to funding merit and longevity pay as well. So for this proposed budget that I've just presented to the council, it will include a 5% cost of living adjustment for our police officers, as well as our firefighters. Merit of 5% will be available for 2,555 employees. Longevity pay will be available for 1,875 eligible employees. The city, related to our healthcare benefits costs, has seen a 8.75% increase. The city, as the employer, will absorb 4.75% of that increase. And then related to a separate topic, but related to all of our personnel, that includes our existing employees, future employees, and mainly our retirees, our pension. We are making a contribution to our pension of $39.6 million. That is separate from our fire and police pension of $13.3 million. But related to those neighborhood revitalization efforts I mentioned earlier, we have to continue to support capital improvement that we believe is directly tied to being in a position to provide those services. What does that look like? Well, we're doing $1.5 million for deferred maintenance. We're including $5 million for rolling stock. That includes equipment and vehicles for stormwater issues, more vehicles for public works, more vehicles for our police officers. Please consider the $8 million carryover from our surplus. So that's actually a total of $13 million for our rolling stock, supporting all those things I just mentioned. But for this proposed budget today to the council, an additional $5 million. We're doing fire dorm upgrades. A fire dorm exists at all 32 fire stations. Our firefighters just don't work there, they live there as well. And so many of these facilities are aged. So for 24 out of 32 of them, we're doing a total of $1.3 million in upgrades to the fire dorms where our firefighters live. For traffic calming expansion, we're doing $250,000. That's throughout city neighborhoods and matching funds from the neighborhood accounts in various neighborhoods. Some notables as some additional capital funding for the Birmingham Civil Rights Institute. Ruffin Mountain, increase of funding to a total of $250,000. Red Mountain Park, an increase to a total of $250,000, and Vulcan Park, an increase to a total of $525,000. Public libraries will receive an increase of almost $1 million to support personnel. That is on top of the surplus funding we did of over $3 million related to upgrade at library facilities across the city of Birmingham. This is a balanced budget. We are excited about this budget we just presented to the council. We believe it goes right at the issues concerning citizens related to public safety and public infrastructure. And so with that, I turn it over to you all if you have any questions.
What goes into deciding these key areas of investment?
I think it's several. So I'll give you the one that is a fundamental. You strip down any mayor, any administration in any city across the entire nation, doesn't matter the size of the city. No one else is responsible with public tax dollars for public safety and public infrastructure. So they're always going to be the top two drivers. Public infrastructure is an assortment of things that citizens not only complain about, but you have to continue to invest in. That's street paving, that's sidewalks, and things of that nature, stormwater, et cetera. The public safety, it's a no-brainer, but that's bigger than just enforcement side. Our police department is pretty even. When you take out the $3 million last year related to overtime for World Games, our police department budget remains flat and the same. But we believe the things around public safety are embedded in this budget, but they also include prevention and reentry efforts to support public safety on those other ends outside of enforcement. Then we get into this conversation of priorities for city councilors. Then we get into this conversation of priorities for the citizens we listen to and the neighborhood officers who serve them. All of that collectively allows us to focus on neighborhood revitalization, which is the bread and butter of what we do every single day.
I guess also specifically on the youth investment, why is that something you continue to invest in?
I think any city would be smart to continue with no hesitation to dump every single dollar resource of public taxes, public tax dollars that is, into investing in our youth. Whatever future we want is directly tied to the present investments we make in our youth. We believe the school system has their own separate budget, but we as an administration believe in supporting the wraparound for our children. And so under the issues of conflict resolution, mental health, under the issues of financial literacy and safe havens in our rec centers, we believe these are just the necessary things we can do to support our youth, to keep them safe, to invest in them as they continue to grow, matriculate, and become active, productive adults in our city. These are the things you need to do now. So for us, it's a no-brainer.
Speaking of that, what has the city done to recruit more lifeguards? And have they thought about maybe a pay raise?
Yeah, so the first thing we did was actual pay raise. The city of Birmingham lifeguards are now being offered, Chaz, is it $15 or $15.50? So the exact price for a lifeguard for the city of Birmingham is $15.55. I want to be very clear because I had this conversation with my mom, believe it or not. She texted me and she was kind of upset about the city of Birmingham was fortunate to have so many pools, but we're not in a position to open our pools because in public spaces, you have to have lifeguards. Okay, this is not negotiable. We want our pools open, but we also need our lifeguards. Turns out, during the pandemic, and then post-pandemic, just like police officers, just like teachers, nurses. Who knew that we would have a shortage of lifeguards or restaurants, right? These are categories where we've seen some consistent decline in the interest, people wanting to serve and or work in these positions of nurses, police officers, teachers, restaurants, and now lifeguards. So to the public, we know there are some great retired professional swimmers out there. We know there's some people out there that are currently amazing swimmers. We need youth, we need adults, we need retirees. Anybody under the sound of my voice who has any interest in giving back to their community, be a lifeguard for the city of Birmingham. It's a part-time position. It's not required 8 hours every day. It does pay a minimum per hour of $15.55. And we want this exposure and opportunity for our young people to be able to use our pools in the summer while school is out. But that can only happen if we have the necessary requisite number of lifeguards. So I want to encourage those, please sign up at Park and Rec and be a lifeguard for the city of Birmingham.
How many of you, do you know offhand how many you guys need number-wise?
I don't. Chaz or Rick, you know how many? Let's give it to them so they can sign up.
I can check the Parks and Rec. It's around 50 to get everybody up to all the rules. So I think right now we're at like 30.
So we only got 30. So we need about 20 more. So are you a lifeguard? You know how to swim?
I know how to swim.
Come on. We need you can come work. You can come work with us. Who else? Everybody? Anybody else?
The Civil Rights Institute, do they have a specific project in mind for that extra money?
We believe it's several. Chaz, any off the top of mind come to mind?
Is it exhibitions, upgrades?
Yeah, exhibition upgrades.
HVAC, so make sure
Yeah.
the temperature is right for the environment and so.
Is the Gaston Motel any part of that?
It's not. You know, we've done the necessary things there, so it's totally separate. Listen, the Civil Rights Institute, shout out to Dewana Thompson, CEO, president, as well as her staff and all the volunteers. They do an amazing job of welcoming people from across the world into that facility 7 days a week. It has existed at this point almost 31 years. It's incumbent upon us to make the necessary investments. They have some capital to meet outside of their yearly operating expenses that we want to take care of. What we're doing is a start. They still have more, but this is a good start.
Are you hoping that this budget passes without any issues that can come up?
Yeah, I mean, listen, issues always come up. I think what I've done a great job of doing is shutting up, like literally just listening to requests, concerns, issues, as well as desire from council, from the public. And I think the things people want are literally in this budget. I literally want to encourage you, the media, the public, everybody that's listening to this to go to birminghamal.gov /2024 budget. Again, that's birminghamal.gov /2024 budget. At this website, at this link, you will see all the detail of this budget. I think it's something in here literally for everybody. If you are a resident, if you are a small business owner, if you are any concerned citizen of the city of Birmingham, the things around public safety and public infrastructure and the necessary investments in our youth, investing in our employees, investing in our growth is all in this budget.
On that note, I mean, obviously, you do this every year, but can you just talk a little bit about the effort that it takes to put it together and the responsibility you feel for this?
So, one, we're not the federal government. We can't print money. And so our revenues that come in and our appropriations that go out are based on what's happening in our city around taxes being collected. We are fortunate as a city to be in a position where people want to be here. There's growth in our city around economic opportunity, and people are out, and our taxes are increasing, whether it's sales tax, lodging taxes, and all the forms of taxes, business license, et cetera, that the city of Birmingham is in a position to collect. And then, so the process goes into making sure we balance our budget, and then from an operating expenses point, be in a position to set priorities. So major shout out to the internal team that's led by Finance Director Kevin Moore, along with Chaz Mitchell, Chief Operating Officer, and then Diana Bolden, who leads our budget team and budget process. They have put in an extraordinary amount of time and work and commitment, well beyond 5 on weekdays, on weekends, well into the night, of making sure this budget is not only balanced, but the priorities are embedded in here on how to move the city forward between July 1 of 2023 for this proposed budget that ends June 30th of 2024.
Is there one area that you feel like there was a really dramatic increase, or is everything pretty evenly increased?
I would say the dramatic increase of $5 million of street paving. Listen, there are two things you have to do as a mayor. You have to pick up trash, you have to pave streets. And these are not negotiable. But turns out these are things I want to do as well, particularly around street paving. If you caught it earlier, what I was saying was that we came into office in the first year, and we realized, backtracking, not just the previous mayor, but all mayors prior, nobody was putting money in the general fund every year towards street paving. So I come into office with a backlog of at least $50 million worth of streets that need to be paved. So what do we do as administration? We decide that we're going to put money in the budget every year. So the first year we did $8 million. Second year we did $10 million. The third year we did 10. Next year we did 10. And I'm off on my numbers, but this year we're doing 15. If I miss the number, then it's another 10. But the combined effort, including this proposed budget, is $63 million. With this 1 year is an increase of $5 million. That's drastic, but that's intentional. It's to send a message to everybody that your priority is our priority. We will continue to pave streets. When we get, if we get a surplus, we'll continue to pave more streets. In next year's budget, we'll put in more money to pave streets. We'll continue to pave streets because that is literally a top priority for our citizens across the entire city. Thank you, everybody.